Listo, perfecto. Entonces, listo. Hello everyone. Our group is conformed by Lorena Garzón, Laura Quiroga, Catalina Gutierrez, and Juan Pablo Gonzalez. We are going to talk about KSIT's president assassination and mercenaries. Next, please. Research question. What was the political and economic condition in Haiti when the President Jovenel Moïse murder took place? Okay, the condition was that the Caribbean island is one of the poorest countries before the pandemic started. This country was experiencing social protest with violence as 16% of its population lives in poverty, so they don't have any kind of perspective in their economy. The situation in this country was full of protest against the President Moses and continued despite the pandemic. 2 years later, the country's economic situation is and was so bad because it has been falling by nearly 30%, which has increased the price of fuel, which is both in dollars on international market. ID also have a very low level of education due to the political instability that the island has experienced for decades, and because of its geographic location, it suffers from hurricane storms, torrential rains, floods, and earthquakes. So they are always in constant reconstructions. Next, please. Now, talking about causes, it is well known that the murder of the President Joel goes hand with the economic history, as Haiti has little income and few opportunities. Um, the poverty and the suffering due to the COVID-19 and the lack of attention from the government, especially the president of the people, were caused this murder. There are also declaration from Clary Joseph, and he said that the president had upset some oligarchies in the country and that basically those things never kiss to have consequences, and so far that is the only existing statement of the motives of what did happen. It is also that the president proposed a new constitution, but both the opposition and the civil society organization consider that the way that he was trying to do it was institutional. Next, please. Talking about uh, consequences, in this case, the consequences of the murder are the instability of the country. They don't have any kind of real authority to run the country. They are in risk of energy because um, they are in any kind of government. The international intervention because it is they need that international intervention because they don't have nobody to help the people from IT, and the immigration that affects other countries around IT and around the world. Next.
Now, profile events. Haiti has been characterized since independence for being a country political instability. It is also extremely vulnerable to natural disaster. These events have hampered its development and its government governance has become more complex. The mandate of Jovenel Moïse was marked by accusation of corruption about embezzlement of funds from the Petrocaribe Energy Gate in 2019, which led to demonstrations by the population that were strongly repressed in addition to the increase in insecurity and the growth of criminal organizations. Next. Next. Timeline of Jovenel Moïse mandate. So, 2015 October, later annulled election because the candidate obtained the absolute vote. And so 2016 November, Moïse went on to win a second election with a victory of 55% of the votes. And 17 February, Moise assumed the presidency. During his tenure, there was corruption, poor economic performance, and outbreak of mass demonstration. 2020 January, the president had been ruled by decree Haiti's parliament closed and legislative election they repeatedly delayed. And so 2021 February, the anti-government protests demanded the departure of the president on that day, the expiration. And finally, 2021 July 7, killing the president Jovenel Moise and Dominican Republic closed the border. Yeah.
Okay, the actors. The actors protagonist is Moise. The main actor is the president of Haiti, Jovenel Moise, who after the assassination unleashed a climate of uncertainty about the country in the international community, leaving country with many economic, political, and social problems. The allies, number one, United States. The United States considers itself highly because it supports Moises' mandate until in the day of his death. Currently, it held stably legitimate transnational government that held Haitians regain that legitimacy. Two, the Premier Minister goes the Union on to ask to help the clarification murder of Moise. Three, the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights considered the murder of Moise as asked the state to guarantee democracy, institutions, and human rights. Opponents, mercenaries, they are the ones of expectedly assassination. The president of Haiti made up of the Colombian and news military. Finally, recipients, Haitian citizens, they are the armed actors of the conjunctural phenomenon and is made of Haitian citizens.
In the causes, the history of the country have a context with many problems, which affect the economy and society in a remarkable way. As the most recent, COVID-19 and previously the earthquake in 2020, and in actually the assassination of the president. The causes of the assassination are defined in the recent situation of the country that left a humanitarian crisis, which could not be handled correctly, and led to a dynamic of creation of illegal groups that needed to get their basic needs through kidnappings and violence. The mismanagement of an inexperienced president and the social, economic, and security situation of the country led to not having a control over illegal groups, which determined not to have a strong state that could control the security of the Haiti nation.
Next, please.
The situation has led to increase in criminal recruitment with more kidnappings for reason to finance their activities or simply to buy basic necessities. As a result of developed humanitarian crisis, the country is experiencing a migration and asylum crisis in other countries, like Brazil, Canada, Chile, Dominican Republic, and others.
And that is it. Next, please, for the reference. Thank you for attention.
That's it. Thank you.